Hey guys, and welcome to another one of my No.1 Sentai Gozyuger episode commentary and reviews. This time it's episode 19, White Burn with 2 hearts. And remember, if you do enjoy what you watch, please remember to like and subscribe. It just means a lot on a small channel like this. Anyway, let's get into the episode. The episode opens where last episode left off, with Good Burn and Tiger Sword facing off against the Abominized Black Daugin. As Kamade says it's too much, Good Burn jumps onto the back of Bear Kuma, quickly followed by Tiger Sword Red as they ride off. And we see inside Black Daugin, the pilot, is Kuon. The next day, Herrera is working at a honey shop when Kamade decides to stop by and ask for a recommendation, although Herrera doesn't have one for him. Kamade starts to lecture him on the differences in taste from different flowers, but Herrera just says, "It's my first day, I don't know this stuff." Herrera says, "Oh, you're always running your mouth, you know nothing about me." And Kamade says, "Okay then, tell me, what's your wish?" As Herrera flashes back to a woman in the rain telling him, never have a wish. But back in the shop, the manager comes out from the back, greeting Kamade and asking if everything's okay. The next thing we see is Herrera walking along, saying he's been fired again. But coming down some steps, a woman calls his name. And as she smiles at him, it's the woman from the No.1 world, Miss Mina. As we go into the credits. Herrera is taken her to the cafe and orders a couple of coffees, as he tells her he never thought he'd see her again. He tells her she hasn't changed at all. She replies that he's changed a lot. As the other Gozyugers watch on, whispering conspiratorially. Kinjiro takes the coffee order from Ryuji and brings it over to the pair, before asking if they're on a date, causing Herrera to choke on his coffee. But when he's told no, he says, "Well, what's your relationship?" And Herrera explains that Miss Mina got stuck in the No.1 world just like him, and she actually looks after him when he was little. Though as he walks away, Kinjiro says, "You're acting a bit sappy." But before Herrera can really react to it, Miss Mina turns around and says, "Well, let's go on a date." And taking him by the hand, leads him out of the cafe. As the Gozyugers get up, Samino says as meddler number 1, she has to get involved. Elsewhere, Kamade's eating some honey and sharing it with Bear Kuma, when he's approached from behind by Kuon, who goes to strike him with the sword, but Kamade blocks it with 2 fingers. Asking if he was the one in Daugin, Kuon admits to it. But when asked, doesn't he have something better to do as an executive, he says, "No, I'm here as a ring hunter. And you need to stop collecting rings." Back with Herrera and Miss Mina, Herrera stood there wondering what you do on a date. As Miss Mina rushes over when she sees some badminton rackets, saying she wants to play. As the two batter shuttlecock back and forth between each other, the other Gozyugers watch on, as Samino sends party people number 1, Kinjiro, in to liven the date up just a little bit. Kinjiro goes in with a crazy outfit and a bottle of super hot soda, instantly putting Herrera out. But as Herrera sniffs the soda, he starts to gag, until Mina encourages him and says good luck, and Herrera chugs the bottle, before turning red and literal flames coming from his mouth, and turning around saying it's not bad. Later, they're in a restaurant, with Herrera having green tea and Miss Mina having some ice cream. As Mina's enjoying the ice cream, Herrera grabs the bowl and has a drink, enraging Ryuji, who, he says himself, as manners number 1, cannot stand to see him drink like that, and rushes in to correct Herrera's form and manners. As the pair continue their date, they see a pair of small children, and Mina says Herrera's about that size when they first met. But Herrera says it's okay now, and if it hadn't happened, he never would have met her. As the two look at each other, and Mina says there's something she wants to tell him. And as the two face each other, they're watched by the rest of the Gozyugers, as Rikuo holds up a sign saying, "Let me say it first, I love you," distracting Herrera. Before Rikuo changes the page, now it says, "Now hold her." Before Rikuo says, "Oh, just leave me alone," grabs her hand and runs off, Elsewhere, Kuon and Kamade are continuing their conversation as Kamade mentions the wound on Kuon's back, saying that fear has him in his grasp and his only hope is second gen. As Kuon says to keep his opinion to himself, the pair transform and begin to fight, each of them losing a ring, and as Kamade changes the gold ring to blue, the blue ring grabbed by Garyudo turns gold, before Garyudo walks away and Goju Polar powers down. Back on the date, Herrera has led Mina to the beach, where, as she says it's been a great date, he says, I doubt that, because those clowns haven't left us alone. But Mina says, it just shows that you've got good friends. And Herrera says, well, if you've had a good time, so have I. And as the other Gozyugers appear in the background and hide behind a sign, Miss Mina unveils a lunch she'd packed for the pair of them, even feeding Herrera. As the pair sit together, Mina says she was going to tell him something before, as she gets up and walks towards the sea. But as she starts saying the truth is, she turns around and is shot by a blast of red energy, falling to the ground. As Herrera rushes to her, the Gozyugers come forward before they see Garyudo with his gun pointed out, and Kamade is also on the beach, telling Garyudo that's some nasty business he's up to. Garyudo tells Herrera that Miss Mina was already dead. She'd been possessed by a No.1 and had passed away before being freed, and he'd given her life to send her to him. The other Gozyugers transform and begin fighting Garyudo as Herrera holds Mina in his arms. With the loss of her strength, she tells Herrera that she knew she wasn't alive anymore, but she had to find him, because even though she told him in the No.1 world to not have a dream, it had always bothered her since they came back to the real world. Herrera says he knew it was to keep him safe from being possessed in the No.1 world, but Mina turns to him and says find a dream, and holding up her little finger, asks him to promise her. And as they wrap their little fingers around each other, Mina disappears into a golden light. As Kamade says, it's a creep move using someone's love like that. But if Herrera prays to him like a god, then he'll go and kick Garyudo's butt for him. But, ignoring him, Herrera rushes forward and eats the entire picnic that Mina had packed for the pair of them. Howling, he says he isn't praying to any god or taking orders from anyone, before taking Kamade's honey, drinking it, and saying my name is Herrera, not second gen. And grabbing his coat, he says I can give a beating as good as anyone, before running off to the fight. Bear Kuma asks me he's a bit crazy, but Kamade says yeah, but I kind of understand why he was chosen. Back at the fight, Garyudo summons Goggle 5, 5-Man and Turbo Ranger to fight the Gozyugers for him. As Herrera arrives, and Garyudo says he thought he'd be busy crying. As Herrera says he'll never forget his promise to Mina, and transforms, launching himself straight for Garyudo. As Garyudo tells Herrera that he can't hold on to anything, let alone a promise or a wish, Herrera says, I'm through listening to you, and calling out his Decalibur, races in to fight some more, quickly managing to overpower Garyudo, as the other Gozyugers work together to beat the 3 Sentai rings that have been summoned. Being pushed back, Garyudo summons the Colossi, and the Abomination Black Daijujin is formed again, as Herrera enters Tiger Sword Red. And it starts snowing, as Good Burn appears with an umbrella next to Tiger Sword Red, and as Good Burn agrees with Kamade to work together with Tiger Sword, they walk together under the umbrella, as the umbrella is thrown into the air and they perform Godness Combination, as Herrera is surprised to see Kamade in the cockpit with him. But punching their way out, it's Supreme Mortal Divine Union, Tiger Sword, White Burn. Kuon asks who they're kidding, because he's fighting with the power of 4 giants. But even with his slash, White Burn just walks straight on at him, before unleashing a missile barrage from its fingertips. Kuon says you can avenge her if you want, but she's not coming back. But Herrera says, I'm not looking back, I'm just looking forwards. As a lot more missiles appear on White Burn, and as all the parts of Black Daijujin manifest themselves, the bear and the wolf manifest themselves for Tiger Sword Heartbreaker, and the manifestations race towards each other in blasts. But the bear and the wolf are able to turn the other one's back, and they all attack Daijujin. As he says, you dare to defy me, he's sucked into a portal, and the Black Daijujin abomination explodes. Later that night, Herrera is in a darkened Tiger cafe, sucking on a flower as he looks at his little finger. And an empty chair. Remembering Miss Mina. As Kamade comes in, Herrera says, I couldn't save Miss Mina. But Kamade says, well, I'm sure she's looking down on you. And that's coming from a god, so I must be right. As he plucks a flower from Herrera's plant, and Herrera says, did you just really do that? He says, did I do what? And Herrera says, that's my flower, snatching it back and saying, you know, you don't take my flower. Before picking up the whole plant, and as the two argue over who gets to suck on a flower, the episode ends. Okay, well that was a fun episode. We finally get some form of combination for Tiger Sword. I do like White Burn. Not enough for me to buy a good burn to do the combination. The prices are just going up so much, and you know, I'm spending a hell of a lot on my giant Megazords. And you know, if you're watching the videos, I've got 5 more videos of that being edited, well, after I finish this. So, you know, because I've just gotten pack 7, which takes me over the halfway point. I will say apologies if the video was a little less coherent than normal. We're in the middle of a heat wave at the moment. Even though I've got a fan right next to me, I am absolutely just sweating buckets. I've had about 4 ice creams while making this video just to try and cool myself down, as the temperature has just been going up and up and up. So apologies if I've been a little less coherent than normal. It's supposed to be cooler next week, so hopefully I'll be back up to my normal levels. I'm surprised Kuon or Gyudo was piloting what I've been calling the Daijujin abomination. You don't mess with my Daijujin, you know. Ranger has a special place in my heart. It was the second Sentai I ever watched. Thanks again to one of my best mates who lent me Ninja Sentai Kaka Ranger when I was stuck in hospital that time. That got me from a lapsed Power Rangers fan into a Mega Sentai fan. And if it weren't for him, I wouldn't have any of this collection. I would have saved so much money, or I would have wasted so much money on a bunch of other stuff. But yeah, like I said, I think I said last time, I think the only reason for that is just for this new robot builder mashup toy line that Toei are bringing out, where, you know, it's just the grey blocks and you've got the covers that go over, so you can mix and match them how you want. MMPR Toys has done some videos on them. Shout out to them. They've done some brilliant videos reviewing the toys, and they've been getting these new combiner ones, so you can see what they look like with them. But yeah, I'm not a fan of that. It was kind of cool seeing it, and I suppose in some ways, I don't know if Boom Studios Comics did it first with their Graveyard Zords like a few years back. So it is nice to see these things, but at the same time, I don't know, sometimes an unfulfilled wish is better than a fulfilled wish, if that makes sense. Sometimes it's nicer just to be like, oh, I wish they'd do that. That could be so cool. And not seeing it. I was saying that it would be so cool to see all like Sentai together. We got that in like the 199 Sentai Great War movie, and I absolutely love that. That is my favourite Sentai movie, and I've probably watched that about a dozen times. Um, just love it. And of course, the more I watch older Sentai from that, the more I like it because I'm like, oh, I recognise that one. I recognise that one now. But coming back to this episode, like I say, I'm completely not with it because of the heat. Um, I like the White Burns or the White Swords finger missiles. It reminds me of Dragon Caesar when it'd be like. That was good. Finally seeing and getting a name for Miss Mina. You know, this woman in the rain that was always telling him, you know, be careful or don't wish or whatever she'd be saying in the flashbacks. We finally got her, and I feel a bit gutted for her that she'd already passed on and she was brought back by his brother just to torment him. But, you know, obviously it hasn't gone how Kuon wants it to. And Herrera's now going to have a wish, or he's going to try and find a wish. And I got some... First time I watched, because I watch it and then I watch it again while like recording this. I love the fact that we've got references now to past episodes. So we had Meddler #1, we had Party Animal #1 or whatever it was. You know, just these references, and then, you know, the sadness in a way when Herrera says, you know, I'm heartbroken #1. You know, you can have, you know, an older person in your life that even though you're only ever friends, you can have feelings for deep down, and then, you know, because they are older, they move on. They never realise. Or if they do, they're nice enough not to say anything. And you're just left, like, dealing with these things of, you know, I really, really liked this person, and now they're gone. Be it dissolving into golden light or moving on with their own lives and moving away or whatever. So, you know, I kind of get where he is from that. And it's a part of life, really, I guess. But I like that. I also like the fact that while Goju Polar's rings turn blue, he and Garyudo both lost a ring during their fight. And Goju Polar turns the golden one blue, which we've already seen him do. But Garyudo turns the blue one back to gold. So the question is, can any of the Gojujas do that? And speaking of the other Gojujas, love the fight against the Goggle 5 Man and Turbo. Because, you know, eventually, you know, they struggled like they always seem to do. Which is kind of strange, really, because I remember reading somewhere before that one of the reasons for, like, only having, like, the Taiga sword as it is, and for having the Gojujas be separate most of the time at first, was because of Kamen Rider. And basically this sort of idea that the Sentai teams are as strong as a single Kamen Rider, making the individual Sentai members less strong. So for Gojuja, it was going to be every Sentai member is as strong as a Kamen Rider, but that's why they were always fighting alone. They weren't a full team. But if that makes the Gojujas basically the strongest Sentai team, then how is it they struggle against the representations of old Sentai Reds? You got 4 Gojujas struggling against 3 Sentai Reds, which doesn't really make much sense. But I do love the fact that they are able to eventually sort of group them together, and you've got different ones of them doing different moves before Green shoots them from above and destroys the three of them. I think it's the first time, although I am sleep deprived because, you know, trying to sleep in 30 plus degrees is not easy. So correct me if I'm wrong, but this is the first time they've actually beat them with relative ease, which, you know, I like that. I'm kind of annoyed that Kamado got Herrera fired. You know, not a good move, man. Not a good move. So he deserved it when Herrera just drank his honey and went, yeah, thanks for the drink. But yeah, it's... I feel so sorry for Herrera having to go through this whole thing with Miss Mina. And because the others were following, because of meddler number one, Mina, he didn't get that alone time that he was trying to get. But anyway, less of the maudlin stuff. I will see you guys next week. I've got one last episode of Zyuranger coming out at the usual time. And then there will be a couple of weeks break. Gozyuger will remain. I won't be taking a break with this one. It's just the classic Sentai that I'm doing. You know, Zyuranger will be done. I'm going to have a little break. I've obviously got a whole bunch of Megazord build videos that I'm going to try and get up over the course of the next week or so. I've got a couple of old Sentai 50th anniversary episode 1s to come out. Go 5 and Go Kaija. And then I will be bringing out Zyuranger video. Not Zyuranger, I've already been doing Zyuranger. Dairanger videos, which will be coming out 24 hours earlier than the Zyuranger is being released. Because that way it just gives it a little bit more of a breather between the classic Sentai and these new Sentai ones. Because, yeah, views drop off during the week when you just release 2 videos on a Sunday. I need to sort of bring it back a bit, so it'll be 24, 48 hours earlier. But anyway, I need to get editing, so I'll see you guys around.